All right, so let's say you've got a great sample, you've got a great loop going. You've kind of it's putting itself together. You feel really good about it, um, and eventually you want to build upon it more. You're gonna want to add the drums. You're gonna want to add the bass and all the other elements. And that's just I'm just giving you the standard formula. Um, Depending on your genre, that may differ. But you're gonna want to slowly start to take this idea and record it out. So you can start with just that sample and looping everything out, and then slowly work on the arrangement. But you're going to be arranging this idea next, okay? And that's just gonna what arranging is it's the you're basically orchestrating the intro. And what I mean like orchestrating is if you can think of the Looney Tunes Bugs Bunny cartoons where he's like standing in front of a symphony and he's telling which part and which section of the symphony to play and how hard and how soft and when to be silent and when to so he's pretty much controlling when everything comes in and out. And that's basically what you want to do with your arrangement. You want to control what elements start, stop, or how they behave, from the start of the track all the way to the end. And this is going to take that original loop or quick idea that you had, and this is going to start paving the entire map. So once you've pretty much done that whole intro, chorus, breakdown, chorus, and whatever that whole like structure is, and like I said, it's going to depend based on your genre, your full idea will come to fruition. And then once you have everything together, this is the best time to start deciding what sounds are going to fit, what sounds should play in this section, and what sounds are going to be quieter and panned. And you're going to start, and this is what I would call mixing, okay? So I know that people use the term mixing very broadly, and I'll basically describe it as this, because there's sound design, which you're taking one sound and you're manipulating that sound to become whatever end result you'd like. So, like when you're using, let's say, this synthesizer, right? And I'm taking this one sound and I'm tuning it with all of these knobs to get a result, that would be sound design. I wouldn't mixing on the synthesizer. No, I would call it sound design. You're designing the sound, all right? When you're using multiple sounds and you're obviously arranging is its own thing, but when you're trying to blend all of these multiple different elements together, that I consider mixing, because you technically, and it was originally done all on a mixer, okay? Everything would be have its own EQ zone, have its own compression, have its own effect level. Everything had its own. It was all mixed together. So whenever I use the term mixing, it involves the act of using the mixer, or it's something that like replicates the act of using the mixer. Even with the DJ mixer, same thing. I'm doing the same, taking elements and I'm blending them together. I'm mixing. Some people call this entire process mixing. I mean, yeah, you can. Why not? It sums it up for layman's terms. But if I was describing to somebody what I was doing with my track, and like if they needed to know what exactly I was going about, if I was laying down a bass line, he's like, I'm just designing some bass lines. I wouldn't say I'm mixing. Just it's just you could, but it's just I don't know. I'm kind of a stickler with that. There's other words to use. You just don't want to this is mixing. This is mixing. Um, sure. Sure. But anyway, you're going to start mixing, okay? So once everything is arranged and you come to this whole mixing time, the idea in the concept behind this is everything is going to be, all these different elements are going to be put in a different zone. So each one of these sounds, right? Each one of these sounds will have its own zone in the entire sound field, in the frequency realm, it will have its own designated spot. So that way it's going to sound cleaner, okay? It's going to sound more cohesive, but more importantly, this is going to give me the ability to create some space if I need to boost it. And that'll bring kind of us into our next point. So once everything is in its zone, it also has to have has to be balanced in its strength with everything else. So what that means is my kick and let's say the drum set and the bass, right? The drum set and the bass are going to be in the lower frequency. They're going to be on the low end, okay? They're going to and you can tell, you can feel those type of sounds. But in order for them to exist together, they're gonna most likely be more prominent in their own zone, or one of them is going to have to push the other one out of the way, maybe with a side chain compressor. We won't get into that right now. But basically, everything, like I said, needs its own zone. But to explain that, like I would probably put my bass on some of the super low, and that kick, which is low, I would put it in like the low mid. So I would have kick down here, and bass down here, and then the kick up here, low mid. So they're gonna clash together, but each of these sounds, even though they're in this low area, they have their own way of gaining your attention by being in this area. And then to touch on the other point, you can have this kick. Let's say your low end is so big, right, and your kick is sitting here. You can apply a compressor to the bass, right, that only engages when the kick is kicking. Okay, this is called side chain compression. So this comes in handy when you have this huge, like, whoa, this big bass sound, this huge low end synth, right, that's just coming in. But you have this kick that's like, oof, oof, oof. And you need to imagine, like, if it was like water, you need to slap your hand down and push this water, this bass away for a second, just so this kick can fall in and have some room for a second. And doing so creates this nice groove. So sidechain compression helps a lot in your mix. Anyway. Wow. I didn't realize how draining it is talking so long. But so let's say you've got it arranged, you've got it mixed, right? You're started to add some EQ and some compression onto each track. In a delicate sense, don't go too hard. But everything is enhanced and it has its own zone. Then you're on your way to doing something great. All right. The next would be, obviously, you're going to want to review. And a good tip with all this, even to get through that mixing process, you're going to want to take breaks and you're going to want to come back to this in review. Okay? Because the whole first, the conceptualizing, that can take like one day. That can be just this fun. And then when you get to this mixing and balancing zone, that's more of your cleaning up the room. It's more of a chore. Like, it can be fun, but since it's more cumbersome, in my opinion, it should be done in like a time span. You shouldn't sit there and tweak it for too long. If you're tweaking the sound of a track for 3 hours straight, the energy, imagine watching the same scene over and over again in a movie, right? And you've watched that same scene, probably you're hitting 100 to 150 times. By that 140th one, 50th, the 90th one, you've there's no emotion left in this scene. So you don't even know if that scene is a good scene or not. It's just, okay, this is what happens. Okay, this is what happens. Okay, this is what happens. And I'm trying to kind of relate this in the music sense, but that's what happens when you're sitting and you're trying to mix, right, for too long. If it's the same sound over and over again, you will go crazy, and then you'll come back to it and you're like, what was I thinking? So take some time when in your mix. I would maximum 45 minutes. Do like a 45 and then 15, and if you really wanted it to like dedicate the whole day, 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off. You should go outside too for those 15 minutes. It's sunny out. Just take a walk around the block and come back. Don't take 15 on your phone. That's my best advice for you right there. But take some time to let your ears chill out, and you'll come back and you'll see it again with new eyes and ears, I guess. But take some time. So you've got everything mixed. You got the arrangement. It's compressed. It's EQ'd nice. It's pretty much almost there. All right. Now, and we'll go touch upon real quick before we get into mastering. In that mix, I would focus on, yes, making sure everything's in its own zone, but also you don't necessarily want to you don't want to try to start hitting zero yet. You want to look for some balance and some strength, with your mix, but don't focus on making it as loud as possible. You want to leave a little room but like focus just purely on clarity. When you get into the next step, which is